My weekend was the usual quiet one. Mainly at home working on a couple of projects, but internet was really, really poor. So I wanted to watch some football matches. I couldn't. Sierra Leone, Nigeria ended up being a really exciting game. Unfortunately, Sierra Leone lost 3-2. Nigeria scored in the 90th plus 5 minutes, and to win that game is an AFCON qualifier.
So it's like you want to tell me you didn't see that coming? Nigeria beating up Sierra Leone.
In Nigeria, the last time we played them, they were 4-0 up against Sierra Leone, and it ended up 4-4. They always struggle against Sierra Leone. Always struggle.
Are you sure, Mr.
Mean?
I know about football.
Are you sure? I mean, you cannot compare Nigeria to Gambia, Nigeria to Sierra Leone. They are very good footballers. They can play very well. They can beat Gambia, Sierra Leone to death.
Trust me, when they drew that game 4-4 in Nigeria, they were blasting them. How can you be 4-0 up with like 10 minutes to go? And the game ended 4-4. The Nigerians, they were blasted by their own fans. They've always, I don't know why it is, but they've always struggled against Sierra Leone.
Why is my mind taking me to when Gambia disgraced Guinea-Conakry, and they were like, Gambia. That was really a funny one.
Yeah, so Gambia group is also an exciting one in the AFCON qualifiers. It looks like Gambia will qualify.
Okay.
So yeah.
We are hopeful. For a long time we did not go, but now we are going.
Looks like, it should be the second qualification. Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Alhamdulillah, I spent my weekend at home. I had a very good time, you know, with the family.
You were talking about teaching your wife how to drive.
I took my wife driving yesterday. You know, women are intelligent, you know. Yeah. There's something that I realized when I was coaching her on how to drive. You know, it's a manual vehicle. So manual normally, new learners, like new drivers, sometimes before they go from one, sometimes when they want to move, the car will stop and the engine will...
Because they change
but there is no point where that happened.
Wow.
And I was really surprised.
That's impressive. You know, because you're right. I mean, with
she was driving like a pro.
With many...
But she was also bragging that, I mean, she is a better driver. Can you imagine?
How long did it take you to drive a car?
For me, it took me like 2 weeks.
Be honest.
Yeah, to be very honest, 2 weeks.
Okay.
It took me longer than that, and when I learned to drive, my now ex-wife Zainab and I, we started lessons at the same time, and so we took our tests at the same time.
Okay.
And I have to be honest, we both failed on the first attempt, and so the race was on to see who would pass the next time. So when we retook, I passed and she didn't, and then third time she passed. Okay. But after that, there was no more talking about who was the better driver.
You know, when you talk about taking the lessons, I mean, and you know they're testing you and you failing and passing, you know, it's the proper way of doing it.
Yeah.
For us here, you will drive a car for 2 weeks. Next minute, you are on the main traffic.
I see people.
Sadly.
You understand? So that's why we have a lot of accidents.
Of course. I mean, it's poorly trained drivers. That's why I won't name them, but there's a driving school that we featured many times on the kind of business news. And our reporter has always been impressed with how they instruct people the proper way.
Yeah, actually I've been there and I can actually attest that they do that.
Yeah.
Even I can remember the first day I went for training, they actually opened the engine to show me the different parts. You know, they do both theory and practice and they're really good.
Which is excellent.
Yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah, and they're good. And that's what people should do. But I mean, some people think, oh, you know, I can move the car from A to B and then from B to C and D. That means I'm qualified. So I see it all the time. And of course, that's why we have so many accidents on the road, because people think they're good drivers when they're not.
Yes, and you know, the other thing is, I mean, I think people need to know the difference between a manual car, learning from driving a manual car, and also using the automatic one. You know, when you do manual, when you learn driving on an automatic car, then you cannot
we'll
drive.
have to go for a break now.
Okay, all right.
So we'll just go for a break and we'll be right back.
Buri yawude holora te non kadi ɓuri moƴƴude ko leydi Gambia ɗo si tawi hiɗa ka golle ma ɗum hiɗa ka l'école ma ka kangesa natugo internet nafitoroɗa suñu bandul ko kañum ɓuri moƴƴude no fuɗɗori mégabaji noga yehi ha mégabaji 13 waɗu dial star 303 has fi wawa tawede ɗum ɗo nafitoroɗa internet tarif ɓurɗo weɓude nata e Facebook Twitter Instagram WhatsApp e dulaji boyi nafitoro suñu bondul family on fi wawa natude ko internet no faliraɗa data package ji ɓurɗi weɓude fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu QCell customer care e 111 QCell suñu boss menen
Welcome back from that short break. So, gentlemen, we'll now head right on to the African proverb, is it?
Yeah, we have an African proverb.
Very interesting one. If you make your son a king, you will be the first to pay tax.
You know, I thought I was intelligent until I read this. I have no idea what they mean. I confess I have no clue what this proverb means.
Okay.
Well,
What the hell does it mean?
I think when you break it down to our African context, it is telling you it's like you need to discipline your child. You don't have to pamper your child to an extent where whatever he wants, that's what he's going to get. You understand? A king, whatever a king wants, that's what he's going to get.
But it could be that you make your son a king by teaching him what is best.
A king,
so that they rise
a king
to be
in a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand?
Yes.
But it's telling you, I mean, you should discipline your child. You should show your child the right way, the right directions. You understand? I mean, we have seen whereby children, whatever they are children that you know, whatever they want, that's what they're going to get. And their parents can't say anything about it. So it's talking about those children. It's good to treat your son like a king, but the right way, not the wrong way. You understand? There are kids that you know, there are kids that you know, they do whatever they want.
I was
and
going
their
to
parents
say,
can say anything or do anything about it, and they are fine with it.
I've seen colleagues who brought their children here, and some of them, the children are very well behaved, and some of them, to be blunt, the children are complete brats. And I've had to shout at the child, don't hit your parent. It's like, it shouldn't be me to tell that. That parent should instruct that child to have manners and to behave.
Yeah, well, it's talking about manners here.
Yes, so maybe that's what they're getting
Very
at.
significant.
That,
I mean, you need to pay tax. I mean, you'll get your own share of the...
You'll get your payback if you don't give them the right sort of instruction and the right manners. I guess that's what it's getting at, but it seems a bit odd the way it's phrased. If you make your son a king, you will be the first to pay tax.
Yeah. Before your son grow to an extent whereby causing harm or causing issues outside, it will start with you in the house.
Well, it's like being a king is a bad thing if you read this proverb.
Yeah.
And it's
not all kings that are good.
Well, and not all are bad.
Yeah, so it's not like specific. I think you're both right.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a confusing one. I'd love to know which country this is from. It's definitely not from Sierra Leone.
Maybe they should have said, when you make your son a dictator.
Aha. Then I
agree.
Then I could, because most of our leaders in Africa, I think they think they're kings anyway. You know, you have all these overstayers who've been in 30, 42 years in some cases. Case of Paul Biya
But Mr. Ade, do you realize now, I mean, the way people respect elders during the 90s, 80s, it's far different from today. Now children don't have respect. Now people don't treat elders the way they are supposed to be treated.
Do you know people have been saying this for 100 years?
Yes.
We did a course when we were doing journalism, and you could read in the newspapers from 100 years ago, people were saying children don't respect their elders. And this, when we are dead and gone, people will still be saying this. You know, and it's not necessarily true. I mean, there are certain circumstances where children think they know that they know their rights, and they stand up for their rights, and some people see that as disrespect. You know, so there's a difference between deference and disrespect and so on. You stand up for your rights, it's not disrespect, you know. Yet my generation and the generation before me, going to school in Sierra Leone, for example, teachers would cane you for nothing, and you weren't meant to say anything. Is that respect?
Cry, they cane you
know,
for
and
crying.
elders would take advantage of younger people, and those people had no right to speak up. That's not respect. That's taking advantage of people. So yeah, I don't. But like I said, if
well, I think it's important for you to stand for your right.
Yeah,
you understand? True. Certain things are there, but also there are also other space that kids should create for elders. I mean, he is elderly, so I shouldn't say other things. You understand? Well, for people like me, I grew up in a society and a compound that, you know, even if you have your rights, like your rights, even if you have your rights, I mean, you need to know how to express your right to your parents. You understand? But you cannot be expressing your rights disrespectfully.
Yeah, of course. No,
you understand? Look. You cannot shout at your parent. You cannot tell your parent, look, you are wrong.
Listen, if an elder disrespects, respect is a two-way street. If you treat a child with disrespect, you deserve all the disrespect you get.
So the thing is, of course, it has to be reciprocal. Like Balde said, we've actually passed that era where age is attached to the issue of respect.
Yeah, quite.
Because people are more aware now, and they know when they're on, the right part and when they're wrong. So, because somebody's an elder and the person actually affects your right, doesn't mean that, you have to be nice about it.
Be nice to them when they're not being
nice to you. When
they're
not being nice to you. No. So every action actually attracts equal reaction.
Well, it's different when you talk about elders here.
But the thing is...
There are different elders.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mr. Adif, you can always put your right out there. Even if a child violated your right, you still put it to them without having to shout, maybe. You know what I mean? But then the most important thing is that you put it to them. So the argument, I know what Balde is trying to say. I'm a Gambian, I live in communities. Here, what they believe in is that somebody who's older than you, if somebody who's older than you actually does something to you, you're supposed to be in a corner and not say anything.
Of course.
Because the person is older than you, and that is what culture says. That's what we are meant to believe. You're not supposed to be loud about it. So that's changing. People know their rights now, so they're not going to actually be victims of that.
Well, I'm telling you, every person have a right. Your son or your daughter, there is a right, given to that person as far as, humanity is concerned, But, here I'm talking about parent to child. You understand? For us, we grew up in a society that, we know we have rights. And our parents allow us to express our rights, but respectfully.
Okay.
You understand?
So, let me give you an instant. Again, with what Balde is saying, there's a culture about how to deal with your parents. You understand what I mean? In Gambia here, I can remember a story of a young girl who actually, the father was trying to force her to marry her off. So the child had to take the dad to court, to Kadi court, or one of these courts. Is it Kadi? I can't remember if it's the Kadi court or the magistrate court. And then that was a whole thing. People had to bully the girl to say she's not going to become something, she's going to be this, because she took a step where the parent wanted to harm her. So this is what I'm trying to drive at. Well, it is believed that even when your parent abuses you, you're not supposed to.
Those situations are not healthy. I'm talking about healthy situations. I'm talking about parent to child understanding. You understand? I'm not talking about those situations. In that instant, the child have the right to say no to what the parents are saying. You understand? But I'm talking about...
So, Ibrahim, I'm just informed that we have to now connect to Mr. Cisse.
Al-Haji Babuka, you mean?
Yes, so let's do that right away. Mr. Cisse, can you hear us? Good morning, Mr. Cisse. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, General, loud and clear.
Yeah, good morning. You're live on QTV. Thank you so much for joining us. So, we're aware that the last
five groups of Gambian pilgrims left Banjul.
Yes, we are aware that the last flight to Saudi Arabia has landed safely. And how is just the environment there? And Gambians, are they comfortable since you arrived? What has been the movement and the arrangements and everything? Can you hear me?
Yes, Janeba. Yes, as it was in the news, even before we left the Gambia, pilgrims started coming from the Gambia on the 15th. 2 flights left, Ethiopia International Airlines. On the 16th, 1, 17, 1, and 18, the last flight left for Saudi Arabia. So as we speak now, all the Gambian pilgrims are now in Saudi Arabia and at their various hotels here. Before, the Hajj Commission said all Gambian pilgrims should stay in one hotel, but it's actually 2 hotels. The 2 hotels. Some Gambian pilgrims are staying in 2 hotels.
Yeah,
So basically, we are all here and we are fine.
Yeah, so officially, when is the Hajj starting, the whole process? When is it starting?
Normally, Hajj starts on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the last month of the Islamic calendar. And that is supposed to be, it depends on the in the Muslim or Islamic thing, it depends on the sighting of the moon. But then, according to the information we are getting here, it's on the Hajj will start on the 26th of this month.
Okay, so what has been the perception of Gambians, first timers maybe, when they reach there? What are they saying? Do they look amazed, excited?
Of course, Saudi Arabia, we are actually in Medina, and this area of the world is different from most areas in terms of experience, and in terms of religion and the spiritual, belief or background we have. Because when you come here, definitely, especially for the first timers, you feel a lot of spiritual attachment. You feel closer to your religion, because this is where it started. So I spoke to the first timers, and they've been telling me that they feel emotional. For example, I saw someone cried, an old man crying yesterday because he visited the graveyard of the prophet's uncle, or a fatherly figure for Hamza during the Battle of Uhud. During the Battle was come and feel closer to your region. You feel more attached. You feel that you need to do more in terms of the religion. So it's a spiritual journey, and it's really for most of the people here.
Yeah, the environment, the pictures that we're seeing, they look absolutely beautiful with the birds and everything. So how do you feel as an individual as well, who's been there 3 times now? You must be used to the place, right? Like moving around freely without getting directions, because this is your 3rd Hajj. How do you feel about that?
Feel great. I thank God. I thank QTV for giving me the opportunity, and I thank Travel Travel, the Hajj operator that signed the contract with QTV. But having said that, for me, anytime you come here, Jennifer, even though if you've been over and over, but still you feel, the greatness of Islam, how it all started, and it all become something new again. It becomes something, because most of the time when you come for the first time, where you stay, you come for the second time, it's all different. So it's all different, although the procedures are the same. It's the same thing you do. When you come to Medina, the first thing you want to do is to go to the Prophet Mosque and pray as many times as possible, because they say when you pray 1 rakah is equal to 1,000 rakah. So everybody want to pray more and more and more, and then most of the things here is sightseeing, visiting religious sites, so that is, you visit the Prophet's grave where he's buried, near his Masjid al-Nabawi, and then from there they will take you to Janatul Baqiyah, which is the cemetery where some of the Prophet's companions are also buried, and some of his family members, and some prominent, Sahabas in Islam where they are buried. You also visit that place and pray for them, because from there you go to Uhud, where I mentioned earlier, where the battle happened, between Muslims and non-Muslims, where Muslims were actually defeated, Hamza was killed, the Prophet was wounded. We visited that place also. We saw the mountain where all that that fighting happened,
Right.
and the graveyard of where these people were buried. Visit also some very important mosques. One of them is called Masjid Qiblateni, which is a very important mosque because before, as they say, people used to face Jerusalem when they are praying, Muslims. So one day, as they were praying in this mosque, God sent an angel to tell the Prophet that they need to face the Holy Kaaba instead of facing Jerusalem. And that's the day the direction of prayer for Muslims changed. If not, still now we'll be facing Jerusalem. And from there also we visited Masjid Quba. And when the Prophet was sent out of Makkah, that's the first mosque he built when he arrived in Medina. So we also visited that mosque. Imagine seeing the first mosque where the Prophet built. And in fact, according to history, he was actually contributed physically in building the mosque, although he didn't complete it. But after some time, some Sahabas completed the mosque. But according to history, he physically contributed. We also visited the Battle of the Trench. If you know Islamic history, you'll hear about Battle of Trench, where the Muslims and Prophet and others were being attacked, and they dug a big trench so that the enemies would not pass across the line. We also visited. So it's all about visiting historical places, and it's very important. And a lot of people become so emotional when they go to these places, and because they know the history behind it. But basically, it's like tourism, but it's more of tourism. It's a spiritual journey here because Hajj happens in Makkah, but this one is about digging out the history of Islam.
So how is also young people, because normally when it comes to Hajj, there's just this thing where it's just for all the people. But I see that culture changing because I see a lot of young people now, they try to go. But in this instant, do you see younger individuals embarking on this journey?
Yes, I've seen young people, I've seen younger people, and I've seen old people and older people.
Okay.
When Hajj, in those days, centuries, Hajj is only elderly people who go, and by then they say there are no aeroplanes, no cars, so they walk on foot, and it will take them months to arrive. Some people it takes them years. But then in this generation where you have aeroplanes, you have young people working, employed, they've got the money. So I've seen young people here actually, and it's good for young people because if you look at what's happening, to be honest, Jennifer, old people struggle a lot here because whatever they do, they need help.
Exactly.
So I think it's best to perform Hajj when you are actually younger than when you are old. Because I've seen old people working with sticks from various countries around the world. Unlike when this COVID hit, at some point the Saudi authorities they restricted. They put an age limit to Hajj, where if you are beyond a certain age, you won't come. But that has been lifted again, because some people have complained to say, oh, Hajj is for every Muslim, But the Saudi authorities did it with a good intention because imagine old people, how they struggle, and the COVID-19 as well. So it's just to protect them.
So are you young or old? Which category are you? Which category are you in? The young folks or old? Old? I want to understand that.
Forever young.
Categorize me as the French say, demi-pas. Between young and
you're not young at all. He's just trying to, Mr. Adi, he's trying to force his way.
Because you can call me an old pa, but you cannot call me as a young boy.
So, Mr. Adi, what do you say?
I think definitely he's in the middle.
He's in the middle. Semi, right?
Semi-pa.
But the most important thing is he has the energy.
He has the strength, and I think it's a valid point that Babukar makes there about people having the strength, the energy, the health to be able to to complete it successfully. And I think also, Babukar, I think before you went, they had these really good sensitization sessions for people who are going so that they know what to expect. They didn't want them to go there and think, I'm coming on a shopping trip.
Exactly.
You're going for a spiritual reason, and they wanted that to be at the forefront of their minds. Yeah.
Yes, Ade, indeed. A lot of sensitization programs, and we've shown a lot of them on TV from Tiwa One Travel. I remember travel agents, then we cover their sensitization, where in fact some of them will make a replica of the Kaaba, and they'll make these people don't eat, saying, reciting things that you need to be reciting. And they were advised, if you can go to the gym, go to the gym and exercise, because there is a lot of, because there are some areas where you need to walk. I remember from Muzdalifah, Jama, which happens on Tobaski Day, it's like 8 kilometers, 7 kilometer walk, and you need to walk it. There's no way that you can do it, because on that day, all the roads are closed, there's no traffic. Imagine over 2 million people walking on one stretch of road and the same direction, going to one place for the same intention. So there is no cars, you will see no car, no bicycles, nothing to carry people except you have to walk on your to get to that place. So because of that, you need to exercise. You don't have to run, you have to walk at your own pace. It depends on you. As long as you can reach that destination, that's that matters. So exercise is important, and a lot of these Hajj operators have sensitized their people, and they've done that. But I can say that that old, in fact, all exercise, for some people, but as usual, for people, they don't, they go through, they just look at the spirituality, attached to Hajj.
All right, so yeah, I guess that is all. We're wishing you good luck. Be strong. We know you can do it.
Of course, Geneva.
So did you taste the Zamzam already? Did you taste it when you arrived?
When you come here the first time, Zamzam belongs to Makkah, because that's where the well Zamzam is.
Yeah.
So the well is not in Medina. But of course, Zamzam is being transported everywhere. So I've tasted the Zamzam. When you go to the Prophet Masjid, there are boxes placed and there is Zamzam. So I've done that several times.
Okay, do not forget to bring me some.
I've also prayed for all of you, and especially you, Geneva, to get a good husband.
I knew you were gonna get there. Oh my God.
Who is gender sensitive?
Gender sense. Okay, good. I'm happy. I'm happy when you're praying. You actually list the specifics. I'm so happy about that. He loves me, right?
I can feel that.
Obviously.
Yeah, but thank you so much and good luck. Have a successful Hajj, and we're looking forward to the brilliant stories that you'll be filing. Before we started, Mr. Ade already talked about the fact that he's sent one and it's a good one.
That's right, and we hope all of them come back safely.
Safely,
Inshallah.
Yeah. So up next,
one thing I like about every day, sometimes when I see people going to Hajj, I think about the day that I will visit the Kaaba and go to where they buried our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the best man, to ever lived on this earth. And this is a person that Allah talked about in the Quran. He said to me, this guy here is the door. If you want to come to me, you have to pass through the door. And that's Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When Prophet went upstairs to go and receive the prayers, Prophet said to Allah, you've given Musa this, you've given Ibrahim this, Allah said to him, I will give you something that I have not given anyone. Your name and my name will be joined together. Nobody is going to say my name without saying your name. So your name and my name is one. So look at a person who went to see Allah, and the distance between him and Allah. Some people said when you pull a bow, that's the distance, how close it was. So imagine me standing on that man's grave and looking at it and praying for him. It makes me feel very emotional without even going there.
But you go there, inshallah.
You see, Mr. Ade?
And I see this trend now.
Take your family
Inshallah.
That is what I was going to come to. Now I see this trend where, husbands and wives go together.
Absolutely.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Lovely,
at least you're doing it together. But obviously with the price now, you need $1 million.
Well, for me, actually, when I get a ticket to go to America right now, and I get a ticket to go to Mecca, I will first go to Mecca. Yeah, it's not a joke. I know she wouldn't believe that. But that's what I want to do.
That's inshallah it will happen.
Yeah. I don't know where the ticket is gonna come from.
Maybe somebody watching. Somebody watching right now.
Maybe there are different airlines taking people, so you never know who's listening.
Well,
maybe
you know
there will be an airline interested in taking.
Don't take it as it's marketing. It's not marketing. It's
No, but
so
somebody might.
so I'm on ticket in marketing.
Don't put me into this equation. You speak for yourself.
Yeah, but that's your.
Okay,
Please.
I know where.
Yeah,
she
I'm
is
being
going.
honest.
Be answered.
I know where
Exactly.
she's going.
I'm not part of it. He just made his
I know-
decision. He
I
can't
know
speak
where
for me.
she's going.
Right? But anyway, please. But anyway.
But I pray one day you and your spouse
Well,
go
there
to
you
market
I
together.
want to
Pray,
go with
pray.
my husband, you know.
In fact,
Inshallah.
that is
The
recommended.
very
Yeah,
husband.
like-
Before you go to
Babuka.
Mecca, Islam recommends you need to go with someone
Yeah.
to guide you. Either your
Exactly.
husband or your brother or your uncle to guide you.
Yeah.
Yes, unless you know more about Islam than your husband, then
Yeah.
who's guiding? Who's guiding?
Who's guiding
who?
who? So, you know.
Please.
But anyway, let's go for a short break and we'll be right back.
Qcell compagnie bu ëppa client yu ees yu koy jëfandikoo si biir réew mi Qcell am 4G plus coverage bu gën a yaatu si biir réew mi internet bu gën a gaaw ñetti yoon naataangoom yi kon nag toxul léegi dal di dial *335# dal di bànneexu 4G bu déggantaan Qcell network Gambia bu ñu gën a wóolu.
QCell woni GSM company ɓurɗon janɗude ko leydi Gambia ɗo e QCell 4G plus coverage on ɓuri yawude laaɓi tati ɓe woni poɗodirde ɓen waɗu dial *335# fi wawa nafitorade ko woni 4G QCell network ɓuraɗo hoolorede ko leydi Gambia.
Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, Crystal UHD Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at Q South Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boost Turntable. Contact us on 333-3217 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So now, gentlemen, we will speak to Alhaji A.F. Jallow. So they're trying to connect to Alhaji A.F. Jallow.
Yes, before you
yes.
connect to Alhaji A.F. Jallow. Mr. Ade, I mean, you know, I've never believed I will see someone that really looks like me, like my lookalike.
Okay,
A person.
until
You know, when a guy contacted me from the Gambia Fire and Rescue Service and said to me, look, for me, anywhere I go, people call me Baldebana, you know.
okay.
And to be very honest, I said to him, look, I mean, I don't know how is this thing happening. So he said to me, I said to him, now, what you can do is to send me your pictures. I mean, if you send me your photos, then I will take a look at the photos. If we resemble, then I will know, you understand? So the guy sent me a list of pictures.
Okay.
So when he sent those photos, I realized definitely we look alike.
Can I see?
You know, but look at this picture.
Yeah,
We look alike.
yeah, the nose.
The nose. And he just sent me a message and said to me, we are watching with my colleagues and they are here
and they
teasing me
teasing
about
him.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So Kebe, that's my twin brother. I call him Kebe, my twin, at the
nice.
Gambia Fire and Rescue Service. Good morning to you and to all the staff of the Gambia Fire
Has
Service.
it ever happened to you?
Me?
Well,
Like to say I look, normally, most of the time when people say I look like someone, I don't.
Oh,
I don't
see that.
Yeah, I see that too.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I look like the individual. So I've not really, like Balde is confirming that he believes they look alike.
Right.
I can't really, unless my siblings.
I saw someone that looks like our former Lady Kanku.
Really?
Okay. Yes. I don't look like my siblings, but twice in my life,
you've seen someone.
There have been people who, and it's funny. One was at school in Sierra Leone, and people kept saying to me, "Oh, do you have a brother in this school?" Well, the answer to that was yes. It was my older brother, but we don't look alike.
Okay.
And it was another guy who,
that you looked alike.
He was also called Ade.
Yeah. So Alaji is on the line, Mr.
Okay,
Ade.
cool.
Yeah. Alaji A.F. Jallo, calling us. We're actually connecting with him from Upper River region because actually in the Combo, I think the rain is just starting here and it's not really heavy. But in the Upper River region, they had...
It's not heavy and we are flooding.
Yes, so the Upper River region, as you can see the pictures in front of you, people are, struggling to get the water out of their houses. So Alaji, just tell us, what is the situation there in the Upper River region in relation to the rains?
Yes, good morning, Janaba. Thank you very much for having me. At the moment, situations are seriously, there are dire situations around the region in relation to the last rain, because yesterday we also had rain, but it was not as heavy as the last rain that came and caused a lot of flooding within the region. So the last flash flood that happened here, a lot of homes were inundated, and many people were left homeless. As we speak, some have completely abandoned their homes. They are living in schools, and others are renting in different places in URL. So the last rain that came here, it was a very, very downpour of rain that really came, and many people really acquainted to the road that was constructed, especially the Fototo road, and then the other road on the other side of URA, that is the Woodley Road, because the level of the road is very, very high. So anytime when there is water, the waters will not have their normal passage to go. So many people are really putting that complaint that is because of the new roads that have been constructed. This is why this thing is persistent. Now, in our interview with most of the victims, particularly in Sambatako, where those people have been encountering these difficulties for the past 4 years, every year when there is disaster or there is flooding, we will go to the same joint, to the same place to interview them, and they will come up with the same thing, because the waterways, when the Chinese were constructing the road, normally, in Sambatako, they have 2 canals that normally pumps the water to the river. And those canals, according to the community, the canals have been blocked. So this is why when the water comes, it will look for another way and eventually get into their various homes, and all their homes are completely inundated, Janaba.
Yeah, so are these individuals, because fine, you talked about the road, but in Combo here, sometimes we have individuals also settling in waterways, instead of, the road is a problem or something. So is there any situation like that in URR where actually it's not?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
There are situations like that, particularly in the swampy areas, because we hear areas that are very swampy, areas in Kabakama, we call it Medina Kabakama, going down to the new bridge that has been constructed. Most of the people that settle there, they settle on a waterway. So that one is man-made. If those people who settle on the waterway, obviously we all know that those homes will float. So we have some similar situations like that within the region, we know, but not as it is in the Greater Banjul area. But to be honest, yes, it's true that some people are really settling on the waterway, and this is why they're experiencing this flooding.
Yes, Alaji Jallo, Ibrahim Balde here. I mean, this problem has been persisting since last year. I can remember there was a time to last year, the same thing happened, and the authorities were going up and down to find a solution. So this means there is no proper solution.
Yes, obviously, we can say there is no proper solution, because for the past 4 years, as you rightly stated, the same problem is happening. And besides, when we visited the area, this is what the community members will tell us. They will tell us, every time disaster happens, the authorities will come with either rice or oil or mats and give them. But they will not find a permanent solution to it. And often that has happened. We have seen the reaction from the National Road Authority. According to the information that we got, that when the flash flood happened, particularly the road that goes through the Fatoto, they came there to to either to do survey or to do what. We actually don't know what they have done there. But the problem is to solve the problem is for them to really listen to the community and able to address some of their concerns, particularly in constructing those drainages that can pump the water to the designated area. So those are very, very important things that the authorities need to look at it. The regional authority on the ground here, most of the time when it happens, they will always be on the ground to see what is happening. But we have not seen any proactive rule that they have done in order to remedy the situation or to fix the problem once and for all.
Well, I think, there should be a solution. Were you able to engage the authorities since the floods happened?
Yes, I was able to meet with the regional disaster management coordinator, who is Mr. Udul Koli. And in fact, most interestingly, this Mr. Koli also raised this point. He said he has been telling the Ministry of Construction and the National Road Authority that these are some of the problems that is persisting here, and the only way to solve those problems is to listen to the community. Mr. Udul Koli was on an interview to tell us that actually the disaster that happened here is man-made. If they had properly constructed the canals that the community is requesting, this disaster would not have happened. So we have spoken to, but the regional governor we were unable to reach him because according to the information we got, he traveled. We went to see whether he would be able to reach the deputy governor, but unfortunately we were unable to speak to the deputy governor. So among the regional authorities we spoke to was the disaster management coordinator. We have also seen the head of the military who was patrolling the area to see that the environment is secure, particularly when such things happen. Many people will go around to do some of their dubious activities.
But there's no one injured, or something.
Yeah, we have had situations where in certain areas in the woodlands where the water had to carry to dug dead bodies from the graveyards and even newly buried bodies. In other areas in Woodley, we have had that situation. We've gone there, but unfortunately we were unable to see some of those things. But we have got those reports that it has happened in other parts of Woodley. Like in Woodley, there are communities as we speak. They are not living in there. In fact, the entire community has been taken away by the water completely.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But Elijah, I think we will just keep in touch with you so that you will be giving us updates. Obviously, we're not praying that this continues, but also obviously...
Yeah, but another thing, right now as we speak, maybe in the next 2-3 minutes, my phone will run down because since this rain started, for almost 4-5 days now, we have not getting proper electricity. In fact, for almost 24 hours now, we have not seen electricity as we speak. So everybody is really feeling the pinch of what has really happening.
Well, Alaye, according to a forecast, at the Meteorology Department, we'll be expecting, more rains this year. So I think something should be done in URR.
Yeah, but something cannot be done in URR as of now, because when already we're talking about how this is a man-made road construction, the lack of canals, or people settling on waterways.
Well, something could be done.
Yeah, but when I mean...
really move fast, because according to weather forecast, around July going to the August, we'll have heavy downpour of rain. So if they really act fast, maybe they will be able to remedy some of the situation.
So what I'm saying, when I say...
it will persist and it will cause more harm.
When I say something cannot be done, I do not mean those things like relocating people. These are whatever that is going to be done at this point in time is something that has been done before for the past 5 years, like you mentioned. But nothing major can be done in this instant, considering the problems that you're telling me. Let's just be realistic in that instant. But
Right.
just to further give us more information, the moment we leave you, we'll be joined by Tijan Bojang, who's a chief forecast from the Central Forecast Department, and he will give us all the details in relation to the JAS report. So thank you so much, Alaji. Keep us up to date with what is happening in the URR.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm aware that Mr. Tijan Bojang is already on the line.
Okay.
Yes. So Mr. Tijan Bojang, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, can you just give us the forecast for this year's rainy season?
Thank you very much. Well, the forecast for this year rainy season is we predicted rains to be normal to slightly above normal on average for the entire country, meaning we expect rainfall quantity of equal to or more than 700 millimeters for the month of July, August, September, just. That doesn't mean that June or October is not accounted into the cumulative rainfall quantity, because the amount of rainfall precipitation in the country is constituted at least 80% of the amount of rainfall falls in July, August, September, and that's why we base the prediction on that. However, the distribution of rain in time and place differs from one region to another.
Right.
And this is basically dictated by the climatology of the country. For example, the western part of the country normally receives higher precipitation, then followed by the eastern sector, and then the middle part of the country. And the prediction for the western part of the country is saying rainfall quantity equal to or more than 900 millimeters. And the rest of the country is expected to receive 700 millimeters to 850 millimeters. So, and then we have also talked about the onset week in the eastern part of the country, that is URR and CRR. The rains are expected for cropping season between 8 and 15. Any rainfall quantity that falls within that period is good for agricultural activities.
Okay.
So those are for cropping season. Of course, normally we receive rainfall before those cropping seasons. Like we have already had some droplets or some rain before those dates. But any amount between that and now and that period is going to continue into cropping season. And I believe that have already started. And then we have recorded substantial amount of rain over the eastern part of the country. That has about 84.5 millimeters of rain that fall within a period of 8 hours.
Okay.
And then that affected greater part of Wuli and then the environment. And then for the eastern part of the western part of the country, we expect rain to start the cropping season between 15 and 20. Of course, we receive rainfall this morning, and then it's like that's also a season. And we will also expect a dry spell within 7 to 8 days within the first 50 days of the rainy season, and then 7 to 9 days within the last 70 days of the rainy season. That should not scare anybody, because that is that's part of the climatology of the region. And in fact, that such dry spell is good for agricultural activities in terms of weeding and applying fertilizers and other things. Yeah, and then we expect the length of the rainy season to be within the range from 118 to 125 days. So this is basically the information for this year 2023 seasonal rainfall outlook for the Gambia.
So what is the difference between last year's forecast and this year's forecast? You know, we want to differentiate between the two.
Right. Last year forecast was the signals were telling us straight away that it was going to be above normal.
Okay.
And this year, when we were producing the forecast in April, it was telling us that the signs are that it's going to be normal, and then with the changing of the the changing of the factors like the influence of the sea surface temperature. So most likely it will proceed into above normal category.
Okay, so which means we're expecting something better this year.
Yes, of course we expect some good rains ahead this year, because the signs, that's what the signs are showing. So we normally update the forecast every end of every month to see the factors that influence the rainfall regime in the Gambia.
Yeah. So I was actually going to come to that, you know, like how often do you update it or inform the public? Because obviously these things can be used as some form of early warning. Is there a structured mechanism put in place to send early warnings to different regions by maybe regional coordinators or something?
Yeah, like I said, we update it every month. At the end of every month, once the forecast is published, and then the information is shared, especially with the key stakeholders like agricultural department, and then the national disaster management agencies, and then also the other regional governors, and then TAC members that are the technical advisors to the governors at the regional level, as well as to the other stakeholders. So we keep on sharing this information with all the stakeholders.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe Mr. Bojang, you might look into a partnership with QTV. We would really love to have weather news.
You're late on that. We've already started that discussion.
Yeah. We want, you know.
No,
okay, so my boss is informing me that I'm very late. You know, I'm not part of management, so I'm not privy to these things. But he's actually informing me that there's already a conversation between the two bodies, and I'm glad.
Indeed, yes, they have started, and then we are still waiting for them to finalize the arrangement.
Sure.
Because the information is for the public, yes.
Sure.
Amazing.
We produce this information. It's sitting on our desk, and then the dissemination is the biggest challenge as far as the weather and climate information is concerned.
Okay. So I'm very late. My boss is just saying I'm very late because the discussion is already ongoing. It has started. So I'm looking forward to it. Like you mentioned, you know, it's about disseminating the information where it will serve as proper early warning for the public so that they're aware.
Indeed.
So gentlemen, if you don't have any questions, we will leave Mr. Bojang go now.
No, Mr. Bojang, thank you for that very, very detailed account of what we can expect. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Bojang, and I'm looking forward to the partnership that you talked about. I'm so late.
You're so late.
I'm so late.
I mean, to go back to what he said and to what Alhaji said as well, I think for anybody who's watching, for the viewers, you know, what they're concerned about is the fact that, you know, somebody might have tuned in this morning and thinking, oh, is this a repeat from last year? Because we seem to be going through the same thing every single year. You know, certain places flood. Here in our area, this morning it rained for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and suddenly everywhere was flooded.
Yeah.
Well,
the place is simply not built.
Well, I mean, I think you are right there. I mean, you know, you can even predict the rains in Gambia. I mean, if you are able to know what happened in the past, so you would be able to know. I mean, we know Basse is going to flood, so we were expecting Basse is going to flood. Yeah. We understand the roads are going to be blocked, so we understand the rains is going to come and the roads are going to be blocked. So, but the technical part of it is left to people like the Metro Department to tell us.
And do you know, in Cape Verde there are some islands where suddenly in the island of São Vicente, one year they didn't have any rain at all.
Wow.
The place was like a desert. I mean, and it's completely surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, of course. But one year they had no rain, not even one.
But it's not, the temperatures are not high, right?
Famine and hunger.
They will be.
It's high. It gets 80s.
What?
And above. I mean,
in Cape Verde?
Look at this, man. It's a West African. It's off the West African
80 what? 80 degrees. Celsius.
That's like when it's
when
it's mild.
But the boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's the
From there you can drink.
It gets very hot.
You can drink
so
coffee.
some of because the islands are quite spaced out. So on some of the islands they get no rain, and on some, of course, they get rain. But yeah, it's quite quite different. So when you look at the terrain, it looks like, you know, you see those pictures of the moon, surface of the moon. That's what some of them look like, a kind of, you know, lunar terrain. Because, you know, as I said, in one island for 1 year they had no rain.
Oh.
Yeah. So if everything goes well, we're supposed to connect to a Gambian award-winning actor in Bollywood, who is Mr. Dabo. But I'm aware that this is all we have time for. So hopefully tomorrow, inshallah, we'll be able to connect with him.
You know what?
Yes.
I don't know how I put Bollywood on the script.
You meant Nollywood.
Oh, you meant
I
Nollywood.
meant Nollywood, not Bollywood.
Okay.
I was intrigued.
Yeah.
I was expecting.
When I also saw Bollywood, as I'm reading it, my lips, I'm like, Bollywood?
Okay, all right. So now
anyway.
I think it's important for us to clarify
Nollywood.
how Bollywood fool us in their movies. Indians can jump from building to building without using...
Anyway,
it's what they call film technique.
Yeah, gentlemen, that is all we have time for. So we come your way tomorrow. Thanks for watching.